I'm gonna come in here. Oh man. Well, we gotta pull the front tires off because we'll be working in the diff anyway. Now let's go ahead and put the front up on some jack stands. Alright, we are back in the shop once again. With winter coming, there's probably going to be a lot of videos finishing up all these projects I have to finish up in the shop. Today, we're getting back on the Sportsman 850. A couple parts that came in, and I have also verified that my hunch was correct. The main issue for this was our timing was off. While we're here, let's see how our bearings are. Actually, that's pretty tight. Yeah, surprisingly tight. Same with that one. But after the last video, you guys had said about how these are notorious for the cam gear on the crank, for spinning on the crank and then throwing your timing off. And I have confirmed by looking down in the timing chain hole here that that is exactly what happened. So I still think that this was in some kind of collision that instantly stopped the drivetrain while the motor was going, and that caused that to slip. That guy's on there. Oh, who put these on? I need my big guy, but it's at work.
Run to work.
No, I'm not gonna run to work. It's closed right now. Oh boy. Yeah, that's right. A little on the tight side.
Are you sure you want to spin it?
Yep, I'm sure I have one of those. I think Polaris usually only calls for like 65 foot-pounds of torque on their lug nuts. These are definitely a little more than that. Big guy, my Hercules would have twisted them right off. I'm gonna have to get another one of those, so I have it here. Now we should be able to get in there with the engine lift, provided that our jacks are now not in the way. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Some new parts that we got. I was able to find a whole complete front diff and four-wheel drive actuator. And you guys remember in the last video, this actuator itself, from here forward, to get this, the little hydraulic pump that actually kicks it in and out of four-wheel drive, this would have cost over $2,000 for this little bit right here. And that didn't include anything we would have had to get with the diff in order to repair it. Grab it right in the middle of the motor. Like this. I did put the jack stand right where I needed to go. And I'm really not going to know what all I need to get with the diff until I take it out and take a look. But I was able to find a complete used front diff and four-wheel drive actuator on Power Sports Nation for less than half what it would have cost just for this four-wheel drive actuator. Well, actually, this was about $700, so still quite a, I mean, that is less than half, duh. This is a nice strong point right here. I don't know if that'll balance enough right there that we can just use this one. I bet we can. And we're gonna give her a shot. So we got this that can go in when we get to that point. And since we were also missing the front drive shaft, I just took a chance and bought a used one on eBay. And believe it or not, U-joints and stuff are perfectly good shape. There's no play whatsoever. So we will have four-wheel drive when we get this back. Just like that. Push it forward. I can't believe how easy this is. Polaris knew that he'd be working on the motors a lot, so they made it nice and easy to pull them out, I guess.
Unless you're doing it by hand.
Oh, I did forget. I forgot my ground wire. Alright, how could you let me forget a wire?
That's because I didn't see it.
That's a good reason, huh?
And it's leaking green stuff.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of coolant coming out of the line there. Yeah, it's not gonna hurt.
You know, coolant look like yellow Gatorade. And then it came out.
So, in order to fix this, what we got to do is get in here, pull the mag cover off, pull that gear off, line it up where it's supposed to be, and put it back on. Polaris's fix for this was to put retaining compound on there so that it would pretty much be stick in place, because that gear is just a press fit. That's it. That's why it can spin. So not only am I going to use retaining compound, if I can get in there, we're gonna put some tack welds around there too, or some spot welds. We'll do a little more than just tack it. We'll do a couple spot welds, and that should hold that in place. And that pretty much is a common fix to pull that gear, get it back where it's supposed to be, spot weld it on, and then you'll never have to worry about it again. Nothing else attached, Torin?
Yeah, the strap.
Well, that's supposed to be attached.
It's attached to the thingy.
It's 4 bolts to pull this guy. Everything's already unhooked, and it'd be so much easier to work on this on the bench. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it up, get it on the bench, make it easy to work with, and we shall go from there.
The motor was smaller, it would be so easy.
Oh, this belt, my clutch cover is toast. It's gonna have to be replaced. Yep, she's had a belt blowout at some point in her life. Now, one more thing to add to the list, I guess.
1,000 things.
That's not actually torn. Hey, we're over enough that I can hold her and slowly let her down. And she's on the bench.
Yay.
Look at that. Well, guys, unfortunately, I had to tear down the Sportsman a lot more than I was planning, because after downloading the service manual and looking at it, the only way to get to the crank to do anything with that timing gear, you had to take the crank clear out, so I had to split the cases. So as you can see here on the bench, everything's tore down, but now I can show you guys exactly what happened, where it's nice and easy for you to see. So here is our crank, and obviously here is the gear on the crank that controls the timing chain that goes up to your camshaft. It's an overhead cam, so you have a timing chain going from this gear to this gear. And as you can see here on the end, you see that line? You see that black mark? These 2 black marks there are supposed to line up. As you can see, they don't come anywhere close to lining up. So that's what happened. That's why our timing was off. Now everything else in here, everything looks fantastic in here. Even the inside of the block here, I got somewhat cleaned up. Our cylinders, I know your camera's not gonna pick it up, look pretty good. So everything is good to go there. Our rods are in great shape. Pistons, however, because it did tap, you can see the shiny spot there in the center of the screen. That's where the exhaust valves hit, and just below it there is where the exhaust valves are supposed to ride. So you can see, because our timing was off, they did touch. So I am going to go ahead and replace the pistons, the piston rings, and of course I'll have to get new bolts for our rod ends, because these are pretty much a one-time use. But yeah, all in all, besides having to tear it clear down, it's not going to be too bad of a fix, or too expensive of a fix. Pistons and rings aren't that expensive. And of course, I'll replace my 2 main crank seals here to be on the safe side. These ones look okay, but why risk it? Just get new ones for some cheap insurance. And like I said, I plan on keeping the Sportsman for an entire year, so I wanted to run for that entire year. So yep, we had to tear it all down. So a whole slew of parts here on the bench, but actually these 850 motors are pretty simple. There's not a whole lot here, and they are very, very simple design. So all my parts for the head, my new exhaust valves, my new gaskets and stuff's already here. So I'm going to get the new piston rings and pistons ordered, get that stuff coming. So then we should be able to get this guy back together and get everything up and running. Once the motor's back together, before we throw the motor in, we'll throw in the new diff and the drive shafts, because it'll be so much easier to do while this is apart, and I can get at stuff a lot easier than once everything's back together. Transmission, as far as I know, is fine except for the broken case. We may just do a quick little tape and JB weld as a fix for that. We'll see. I'll price how much it costs for an inner clutch case, but we're probably just gonna patch that one and call it good. And hopefully before the snow flies, we'll be able to get the Sportsman out for some rides. I mean, even if the snow does fly, we're still gonna get this guy out and ride, but I'd like to at least experience it before we get some slick snow to truly test the power and stuff of it. On the next video with the Sportsman, we'll be ready to start reassembling some stuff here. So thanks for watching, and until next time, God bless and keep on riding.